My name's Karina, for those who don't know. I'm a 23-year-old circus performer from Melbourne, Australia. Um, I'm here chatting to you guys because I assume you found this video via Statera Sessions, a new program that me and my circus company, Statera Circus, are running with Gasworks Arts Park. It's a super exciting project where once a month, artists of all genres get to present new works in progress and receive feedback from you guys. So we want to incorporate general public and other artists and people who are just interested in the process of creating and sharing and collaborating and bring it all together into like one big smushy artsy world and give that process a little bit of structure. So us at Statera, we're super passionate about collaborating, about sharing, about facilitating opportunities for artistic expression and working with people of all kinds to create art and share all the emotions. Yeah, and the Statera Sessions has been our way of starting that up. So, yeah, the objective of it is to empower all of both the people who are presenting the work, the artists themselves, and the people who are giving feedback. So it gives you a sort of framework to follow and sentence structures to make the feedback that you give as concise and as specific as possible. And it does it in a way that is objective and helps the artist create the best version of whatever work it is that they're trying to create. So we're trying to take away taste and bring in feedback and useful, concise, specific feedback that the artist will walk away and go, I can keep working on my piece. Yay, yay, yay. How are we going to do that? There's a couple of steps. So step one was the first email, which brought you to this video. In that email, there is also a link to the slideshow, which you can see on the screen. So you can follow along on the slideshow while we go through the video if you like, or you can have a look at it later. All of these things will be moderated throughout the session as well. So you won't get lost. We'll make sure that everyone is keeping up and that everyone's together the whole time. In email 2, the next email that I send you, there's going to be the link to the Zoom call and a link to the Google Drive where the video that we'll be watching will be presented. What we're going to do is on the day, everyone comes, I'm going to ask you to load the video from the Google Drive so that it's ready to watch, and then I'm going to teach you the method, just to give you a quick recap and cover some of the areas. If you have any questions from this video, please feel free to ask, and I can try and clarify those on the day. We'll watch the video and then we'll start the feedback session. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and give you a quick explanation on what the feedback session is, how it runs, and the sorts of feedback that you guys will be giving. So we're going to talk through the structure. So the method itself is based off the Das Arts method. We've made the method a little bit more concise, and we've cut out different elements. I think that when you present a work, if there's specific kinds of feedback that you're really looking for, you can say, and we can structure the method and change the method each session. And if you as a feedback giver finish the session and go, oh, like I really feel like this bit could be fleshed out more, or this bit could be benefited, we can continue to have these discussions and continue to change the method as we go. You guys can read through this a little bit more on your own, but essentially we want to help artists. That's the key there. What is it? So what's going to happen is before the presentation of the work, the artists will say a couple of words. So they'll tell you where the work is at, what process, what level it's at the moment, where they've been working on it. We started using this method and adjusting it and tweaking it all throughout lockdown 1. We had weekly Zoom calls. So it was really useful for us, and that's why we want to share it to the wider community. Then there'll be the presentation of the work, and then there'll be the feedback session, which is moderated by one of us from Statera. Great. So there's a bunch of different steps of the feedback process. I'm going to go into a bit more detail on each of them as we go. Everyone has different roles. So there's the presenter, the artists, the people who are showing the works. There's the mediator, the moderator, whatever you want to call it. And then there's the feedback givers, which are you guys. Very crucial role. We have a couple of key points. The main thing is we want to be respectful. It's very hard to present new works, especially something that's so rough as this. So all of the feedback that you give, please be kind, please be considerate. Yeah, so you're trying to avoid taste, and you're trying to give your feedback as objectively as possible. So each of the stages has a time limit. The feedback we give fits within those time limits, and we're not talking for too long. So we want to make our sentences as clear and as concise as possible. So the first one is the positives. So we're looking at what worked for me, blah, blah, blah. So you can say things like, what worked for me was the clear and concise transitions. So we're being specific, and we're being pointed in where these things are working. If you agree with that, you say +1, and the person who's receiving the feedback can see, oh, lots of people agreed with this point. So the brilliance of using what worked for me rather than I liked this or I liked that is you can take a bit more of an objective point of view. You might not like it as an individual audience member, but just because you don't like it, you can still see the merit of that artist's choice. The next one is objectives. So we're trying to take different points of view for each of these things. So as blank, I need blank. So instead of just looking at the work as an audience member, you're trying to look at the work from as many different people's shoes as you can. So as a choreographer, I need you to rethink the placement of clothes. It means something totally different to as a dramaturg, I need you to rethink placement of clothes. Choosing who the perspective comes from really impacts what the feedback is. And every point that is written, the artist can take it whatever way they want. So you as a feedback giver, your job is to try and be as clear with what your intention is, but the artists can make the decision of whether to go, oh, clarity means that the text needs to be written larger, or clarity means that it needs to be written in Chinese. And that's up to the artist's interpretation, and they can make something more or less, but it's not up to you as a feedback giver to decide on how they make the changes. The next point is speed points. So you have 30 seconds to write as many words that you thought of while watching the thing. So this can be emotions, it can be thoughts, you can write, I don't know, I had Spider-Man once. There's all sorts of things that come to mind while you're doing it, and it's just kind of to give a bit more of a visual linguistic mind map. Open questions. So your open questions are your absolutely not your yeses or nos. I read my big no-nos there. So we're looking at your who's, your what's, your why's, your when's, your how's. You're trying to prompt the artists to think about what their intention was and why they made those choices, and to get deeper into the character and the narrative and the reasons behind why they do what they do and why they chose to do those things and how they can improve that. The next spot is discussion. So we're looking at it can either be open or closed. So it can be a gossip round or an open discussion. That's up to the artist. So a gossip round, that's where the artists still, so up until this point, the artists have not had any point to talk. They don't get to participate in the feedback giving. They're just listening passively. In the gossip round, they also listen passively, and the audience or the feedback givers get to discuss with each other. In an open discussion, the artists choose to participate in that discussion. And so that's where you as feedback givers can ask them questions and they can ask you questions. And finally, we have the letter. So this is where you put any other thoughts, feelings, concerns, tips, tricks, etc. that you as an audience member want to give to the artist. The main thing is be super thankful and excited and push them to continue working on the work, because that's all we all want. Yeah, so that's the method. I hope it was kind of clear. I'm sorry that I'm a little bit rambly. It is something that I get pulled up on all the time, every time we use this method. So don't be hurt or afraid if you get pulled up on it too. But yeah, thank you for listening and thank you for your time. I will see you soon. Bye.